part of the silence? Rez didn't have an answer for that. He didn't even know what it meant. All he knew was he was a mechanic who found a corpse he shouldn't have. And now he was standing in front of something bigger than anything he'd ever imagined. The man turned. There are more like you. Ones who've seen the cracks, the holes in the stories. He paused. We're not here to conquer. We're here to correct. And if that means burning down the systems that kept the lie alive, so be it. Before Rez could respond, the lights flickered. Then a siren. A low moaning tone that hadn't been heard in decades. Unidentified life form breach. CENTRALAI offline. Emergency lockdown initiated. Rez's comm buzzed. Voice screamed across the channel. They're inside, not soldiers, civilians. They're reopening doors from the inside. Rez looked at the man. What did you do? I didn't do anything, the human said quietly. They did. Your people, the ons who remembered, the ones who waited. A second figure stepped out from the shadows behind him. A woman, shorter, sharper, scars down her neck, her eyes locked onto Rez. He's clean, she said. The man nodded. Then let's show him. Rez followed them. He didn't know why. Curiosity, fear, maybe something deeper. They led him through old mining shafts into sealed chambers no one had entered in years. There, behind layers of rusted doors, sat relics of a past denied. Terran banners, crates of forbidden data. And in the middle, an old communications rig blinking softly. The woman touched it gently. We've been waiting a long time, she said. But it's not just about revenge, she turned to Rez. It's a bootmori. Rez had never seen tech like this before. The room was buried deep, far below Tyrex's mapped levels. It was ancient, sealed behind bulkheads coated in frost and carbon scoring, like someone had tried to destroy it, then gave up. The rig itself looked half dead, barely humming, with wires snaking out like veins into old crystal cores. And still it worked. The woman knelt beside the console. Her fingers danced across the dusty interface with practiced ease, waking it from its coma. Rez watched in silence, unsure if he was a prisoner or a witness. This was Navarro's final transmission point, she said, without looking up. The last thing he did before he died was send a signal. We think it never reached anyone until now. Rez finally spoke. Why would he come here? Whitey Reek? The man, who still hadn't shared his name, leaned against the wall, arms folded. Because Tariq was neutral, a blind spot, and because someone here helped him. Rez blinked. Helped him? The woman nodded. Navaro didn't crash here by accident. He was guided, smuggled through mining lanes off the record. Someone in your station risked everything to protect him. We're here to finish what they started. Rez felt like the air had thinned. None of this made sense. His whole life had been about keeping things running. Pipes, lights, machinery, no tongue covering buried history. Not standing in forgotten catacombs with the ghosts of a species erased from textbooks. But what are you finishing? He asked, taking a slow step forward. The man finally pushed off the wall. The story, the real one. The screen blinked, then grainy at first. A face appeared, tired, bruised, but unmistakably human. It was Navarro. This is Commander J. Navarro, United Terran Front. If this reaches Sanyan, anyone who still believes in what we were, know that I didn't die quietly. They tried to erase us. They told the galaxy we were monsters. Maybe we were, but we were alive. And that matters more than any lie. He coughed, blood staining his lips. If Earth is gone, if no one else made it out, let this recording be proof. We were here. We fought. We bled. And we remember. The screen faded to black. The woman's voice was soft. He died a few hours after that, alone, broken. No one would hear him. Rez swallowed the lump in his throat. It was too much, too fast, too heavy. So you're doing this for him? No, the man said, we're doing it for everyone like him. The millions who were hunted, the children who never saw Earth, the soldiers turned into shadows. This isn't justice. It's remembrance. Rez looked down at the dog tag still in his hand. For the first time, it didn't feel like a strange piece of metal. It felt like a weight, a truth. So what happens now? He asked. The woman stood. Now we show the galaxy what they buried. Rez stared at the communication rig. You're going to transmit it to everyone, she said. Every system, every port, even the ones that banned human media. We're going to infect the lie with truth. Rez hesitated. They'll come for you. They already have. The man said they just don't know we're inside the walls. Outside, alarms began to blare again. Soft at first, then louder. The humans didn't flinch. The woman looked at Rez. Really? Looked, you don't have to help. But if you do, it means something. What? That not everyone forgot. Rez stared at her. Then the rig. Then, at Navarro's last words, still echoing in his mind. He wasn't a soldier. He wasn't a historian. But he was someone who saw the lie now. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. He stepped forward and placed the dog tag in the console. I'll help. The man smiled faintly, like he'd been waiting for that all along. Then let's wake the stars. They moved quickly after that. The woman, she finally gave her name. Lab began routing power from auxiliary cores to boost the old transmitter. Rez watched as she pulled up ancient encryption protocols, bypassing station firewalls like they were made of paper. She wasn't just a rebel. She was a Relicorn architect of digital war. The man, now known as Cade, kept watch near the sealed bulkhead. From distance, Rez could tell he was used to violence. Not the theatrical kind Thea Kurds enforcers displayed, but the quiet, final kind that left no witnesses. Every part of Rez wanted to panic. The alarms were howling now. Red lights painted the tunnels like veins on fire. Somewhere above them, soldiers were gathering. Accords would be here soon, armed and paranoid. We'll have maybe 5 minutes since the signal launches, LRA said without looking up. The rig's not cloaked. The second it transmits, every surveillance drone in orbit is going to ping its location. Rez cleared his throat. So, we're doing this to die. LRA smirked. We're doing this so they don't die again. Cade tossed him a rifle. Rez caught it awkwardly, nearly dropping it. I've never used one of these, he admitted. Cade only nodded. Don't shoot unless you have to. But if you do, aim for center mass. They'll be wearing suppressor armor. Rez's fingers tightened around the cold metal. This wasn't supposed to be his fight. He fixed pipes, cleaned reactors. He didn't broadcast forbidden missiles to the galaxy or shoot at elite security units. And yet here he was. The console beeped 3 times. Then a low hum filled the chamber. LRA's eyes lit up. We're online, she said, initiating full spectrum burst. This will reach every unshielded receiver from here to the Helix barrier. Rez stepped closer as the screen displayed hundreds of symbols. Languages from every known species. Below them, a countdown ticked down from 60. LR looked up at him. Still in? Rez nodded. They killed the truth once, not again. She hit the final command. Therig pulsed. A wave of energy surged out like a scream in the dark. Navarro's recording began to play, then dozens more like it. Testimonies, footage, photos. Archive dumps long thought purged. Human cities in flames. Accord soldiers laughing over mass graves. Internal communications from officials who signed the extinction orders. The ugly buried core of galactic peace, now unburied. In orbit, Accord monitors exploded with data they never thought could return on every trade route. Hollow screens flickered, then showed the words, "We were erased." Now Westpeak. Rez felt it the moment the signal went through, like a dam breaking inside Hishist. The room trembled. Outside, a blast shook Thekarider. The Accord was coming. Cade sealed the inner hatch. "We hold them here," he said calmly. "They can't stop it now, but they'll try." Rez took position behind a crate, heart pounding so loud it almost drowned the noise. LRA pulled out a compact pistol and covered the side entrance. Then came the thudding boots, voices, shouts, and thin smoke. The door burst open. Rez fired without thinking, and for a moment he thought he missed. But one of the armored soldiers dropped, sparks flying from their chest plate. The firefight erupted. It was fast, brutal. Rez ducked behind piping as shots tore through the air. Cade moved like a phantom. 2 shots, 2 bodies. LRA shouted something he couldn't hear over the noise. Thekan's soul sparked. They'd hit something. No, hold it. LRA screamed, diving for the terminal. The relay is still transmitting. Rez saw a soldier race his rifle toward her. He didn't think. He pulled the trigger. The shot hit. The soldier fell, and Rez couldn't breathe. Rua looked at him wide-eyed. "You just saved the truth." Hadn't feel like a hero. He felt sick. But he nodded. Outside, more footsteps, more enemies. But above them, in the stars, the message flew, carved into every data stream, every broadcast. The humans were never a myth. They were a warning. And now they're a reckoning. The stars trembled with revelation. Across the galaxy, the message spread like wildfire through vacuum. Entire networks crashed under the weight of incoming data. Civilian hubs blinked in and out of operation. Military AI flagged the transmission as Level 9 forbiddens content. And still it reached billions, on V4. A history professor dropped her tablet as images of Terran children in cages flashed across her screen. She'd taught for 20 years that humans were savages. Univilized aggressors destroyed for the safety of the stars. Now she watched a human mother shielding her baby during a bombardment she'd been told never happened. In the capital domes of Satari Prime, protests exploded withy. No one truly believed in humans anymore. Not really. They lingered only in whispers, myths from an age when the stars were untamed and unexplored. The young dismissed them with laughter. Legends of being so defiant, so fierce, and so dangerously unpredictable that the galaxy itself had cast them out, scrubbing their presence like a stain best forgotten. The elders, however, never laughed. They spoke rarely of humans, but when they did, their voices always faltered, their eyes dimmed, as though recalling something they wished stayed buried. To the Azari people, the human tale was a shadowed lullaby. Behave, or the humans will return, they warned restless children. Don't cheat the markets, or suffer the fate of the Var Dominion. The humans had spared no one. But that was all it remained. A story until the silence fractured. It began with a signal. Faint, crackling across the rim of Sector X-12 near the graveyard of dead space. A transmission endlessly repeating one phrase. "This is Earth Command. We are returning." Most dismissed it as interference, a hoax, maybe the echo of some forgotten probe from an old war. But the Zarn Intelligence Collective caught it and didn't like what they found. Machines don't dread legends, not unless data backs them. This one did. Its metadata defied logic. The code buried within was human, or something hauntingly close. Scouts went first, then warcruisers, then swarms of drones. None returned. That was when alarms truly sounded. The Galactic Accord convened in crisis, the first time in more than 6 millennia. Every species came, even those who hadn't left their worlds in ages. They argued, they denied, they panicked. And then the ships appeared. They weren't like anything the galaxy had ever known. No sweeping curves, no gleaming chrome, No wasted artistry, only hulking, obsidian leviathans. Engines burned like collapsing stars. Their hulls resembled jagged stone. No crests, no signals, no parley. They spoke through silence. Defenses fell one after another. Not merely destroyed, but humiliated. Armadas vanished without firing. AI minds went dark. Commanders surrendered without sighting their foe. Whispers spread like wildfire. They wield no shields. They are shields. They infect quantum space with viruses. They collapsed a worm gate without a weapon. By the time the fleet reached Velmora Prime, laughter had died. Then came the broadcast. It echoed in every code, every tongue, every neural channel across the stars. You erased us. You hunted us. You carved our extinction into your histories. To you, we were myth. Now we are memory. We return. We do not forgive. Panic became dread. And yet, some remembered. An Azari priestess, blind with years, murmured into the silence. They warned us. Humans don't come to talk. They come to end. On a mining station above frozen Tyrex, a young mechanic froze at the viewport. His hands quaked as black shapes sliced across the heavens. He'd always thought humans a lie. Now he couldn't stop trembling. The stillness after the broadcast was worse than the devastation. Velmora Prime stood silent. Billions of souls held their breath, gazing skyward as though awaiting a second dawn. But this light would not bring warmth. The human fleet stayed silent. At first, they lingered, circling like predators weighing their prey. Accord strategists scrambled, desperate to decode their intent, but no algorithm made sense. Humans weren't following logic, at least not the kind the galaxy had ever mapped. "They're waiting," muttered Admiral Karen of the Thrax Dominion. Maybe for surrender. Others knew better. Surrender wasn't why they came. They wanted something else. High Chancellor Dovrax, voice tight with fear, ordered a message sent. Polite, hopeful, pleading. It opened with, "We welcome you back." It closed with, "Let us live in peace." No reply came. Instead, one vessel drifted from formation. Slow, deliberate, it descended toward Elmra's moon. That moon housed the Accord's War Museum, a shrine to ancient battles, including the so-called human cleansing, now remembered as far less one-sided than the chronicles declared. The ship didn't fire. It opened a vast bay door. One object fell. Not a missile, not a bomb, a monument. It struck with such force it registered on seismic sensors planet-wide. Recon drones rushed in and confirmed it. A towering obsidian figure carved in the image of a Terran warrior, clad in archaic human armor. At its base, etched perfectly in universal script, were 6 words: "We bury the lies with fire." That was when the first true wave began. Human drop pods ignited the skies. Not hundreds. Not thousands, millions. Black iron spheres tearing through the clouds. They struck across outposts, relay hubs, scarred battlefields. Each pod carried only 1 or 2 soldiers, tall, armored, faces hidden behind mirrored visors. They didn't speak. They didn't broadcast. They moved with chilling precision. And they knew every ridge, every defense grid, every fallback code. Because humans never forgot, and they never stopped preparing for vengeance. Admiral Karen fired back from orbit. Her cruisers rained plasma into the landing zones, but nothing struck. The human ships exhaled a shroud, a black distortion that warped signals and bent light. Her systems faltered, her fleet dimmed, one by one falling into silence. No explosions. Just dead machines. In the Accord's war chamber, panic curdled into despair. Ministers shouted, generals sobbed. Chancellor Dovra only stared, watching his empire unravel. Not by siege, not by treaty, but by slow, deliberate erasure. And worst of all, no demands. The humans weren't here for land. Not for ransom. They were here to burn the myth. To remind the stars, we were never your story. You were ours. On the Tyrex mining station, Rez felt himself drafted into a nightmare he couldn't name. The humans hadn't touched the icy rock yet, but their ships hung above it like executioners, waiting for the signal. He watched the governor beg through endless transmissions. Silence answered. Then the screen pulsed once. A single word, survivors. No one understood it. Rez only felt the chill of recognition. This wasn't just vengeance. This was judgment. The word burned in every monitor like blood-written scripture. Survivors. Some guessed it meant humans still hidden. Others whispered it, marked traitors, the collaborators who had erased them. Tyrex had been too remote, too poor for cleansing wars, or so people believed. But when the governor locked himself in the control spire, pale and shaking, Rez suspected otherwise. Broadcasts bled in from Valora, human soldiers moving like shadows through cities. No firestorms, no glassed worlds. Only precision. Statues toppled. Archives vanished. Libraries and councils purged. Not hacked, not burn deleted, root and branch. History itself gone. On Tyrex, dread thickened. Supply convoys halted. Signals cut. Elites hoarded food. Guards lined the exits. The miners, Rez among them, were told to keep digging. But no one believed in orders anymore. One night, Rez was fixing a damaged coolant line in Sublevel 9 when he stumbled on an old maintenance panel behind a bulkhead. It hadn't been used in years. Curious, he pried it open and found something strange. A body, or at least what was left of one. Mummified, wrapped in rags. The bones were strange. Longer limbs, broader shoulders. A single dog tag hung from its neck. J. Navarro, United Terran. Frontra stumbled back, heart thudding. A human. He didn't call security. He didn't even tell his co-workers. Something in him screamed to keep quiet. He took the tag and left Thebedy untouched. Later that night, he stared at it in his bunk, tracing theliders with his thumb. How had a human corpse ended up on Tyreek? The next morning, the human ships moved. One descended into the lower atmosphere, directly above Tyreek Station. Now Napalms deployed, no troops dropped, just a signal. We area-aware. 3 words. That was it. But those 3 words shattered whatever illusion remained. The governor tried to flee. His shuttle exploded before it left Vahanger. Then came the second broadcast. It was a recording, years old, buried in a file that shouldn't have existed anymore. The governor, much younger, laughing in a bar on Valora, bragging about cleaning up a crash site, one where some filthy Terran tried to hide. He spoke of burying bodies in Tyreek's tunnels. Rez watched in stunned silence. So did everyone else. Suddenly, Tyreek wasn't innocent. It wasn't a forgotten rock. It was a graveyard, a secret one. And the humans knew. Rez understood now what survivors meant. The humans weren't looking for Elise. They were looking for the truth. For those who survived the cleansing, for the ones who hid. And maybe, just maybe, for those willing to remember. Outside, the human ship hovered, unmoving. Its black hole gleamed with frost and firelight. Rez stared up through the cracked dome of the station and whispered, "What do you want from us?" The answer didn't come in words. That night, every system on the station shut down, and a figure appeared in Sublevel 9, alone, human. He stood there, surrounded by silence, like the whole world had stopped spinning just to watch. Rez had never seen a human before. Not in real life, only in old distorted images. Tall shadows in dust archives, faces blurred by time or erased entirely. But this one was real. He wasn't wearing the black armor like the others. Just a simple dark coat, worn boots, a utility belt, and something strange on his shoulder. A symbol, 2 broken wings wrapped around a burning star. His face was unreadable, calm, but with a weight behind his eyes, like he carried 1,000 stories no one wanted to hear. Rez didn't move, didn't breathe. The human raised a hand, not in threat, but something closer to acknowledgement, maybe even peace. Then he spoke. "You found Navarro." Rez's throat tightened. "The dog tag. The body. How did he owe you carry it?" The man added Glan. Clearer now. The distortion fields were gone, no longer hiding truth from space. Rez finally broke the silence. "What happens next?" Cade stared ahead. "The galaxy fractures," LRA added. "The Accord will call it terrorism. Some planets will riot. Others will try to erase us again, but this time they can't kill the message. The truth's out," Cade said. "And the thing about truth, it spreads faster than fear once people realize they've been lied to their whole lives." Rez nodded slowly. "And Earth? It's still there?" LRA hesitated, then looked at Cade. Cad's jaw tightened. "What's left of it?" Rez turned. "What does that mean?" Cade met his gaze, tired but firm. "They didn't just erase us from records. They glassed the planet. Evericity, every ocean, the Earth you've heard of. It's a tomb now." Rez's stomach twisted. "And you're still fighting for it?" Cade shook his head. "Remember, we're fighting because of it. Earth was our home. But now humanity lives in the memory of what they tried to destroy, every colony that hit us. Every survivor that raised a child in secret, every voice that still dares to speak our name." He looked up at the stars. "They thought killing Earth meant killing us. But humans were never just a planet. We're a species and we're done buying quit." Far above, a new Terran vessel entered orbit. Not a warship this time, but a broadcast ship. Its signal tower unfurled like a steel flower, sending waves of truth across a galaxy built on silence. Back on the station, the surviving citizens of Tyrix gathered to watch. The children stared wide-eyed. Fielders stood with shoulders slumped, unsure whether to feel guilt or relief. The message played again. "We were never your monsters. You made us into ghosts, but now we are the flame and you will never forget us again." Rez rose to his feet, the dog tag still around his neck. "I want to see what's next," he said quietly. "Alagrand, then come with us." Cade offered his hand, and for the first time, Rez took it. Behind them, the station lit up, not with fire, but with light. The kind of light that comes after a long cold night, because the humans had returned and the galaxy would never be the